For years after a lie destroyed his marriage, Hyunjoo, a feared Korean Mafia boss, was on a phone call when he walked into an elevator and came face to face with the one woman he never stopped loving, and the child he never knew existed. The moment froze time. Hyunjoo's voice was calm as steel. "Make sure it's handled tonight," he said into the phone, his tone leaving no room for failure. The elevator doors slid open on the 42nd floor of a luxury hotel in Seoul. Without looking up, Hyunjoo stepped inside, his black suit sharp, his presence heavy. Men feared him. Enemies avoided him. He was a man who controlled darkness with one hand and wore silence like armor. The doors began to close. Then, a hand shot through the gap. The doors slid open again. A woman stepped in. And a child. Hyunjoo's finger hovered over the close button. Annoyance tightened his jaw. He still didn't look up. He never looked at people anymore. Looking led to feelings, and feelings were weaknesses he buried years ago. The woman pressed the button for the 36th floor. The child clutched a stuffed baby bear, its soft brown ears worn from love. She stared openly at Hyunjoo, her big eyes curious, unafraid. The elevator began to move. That was when Hyunjoo turned his head. His breath caught. The phone slipped from his hand. Keisha, the name echoed in his chest, though he didn't say it out loud. Keisha Sam stood against the opposite wall, her back straight, her shoulders tense. Her dark skin glowed under the harsh elevator lights. Her hair was shorter now, pulled back simply. She wore no makeup, no jewelry, nothing like the woman he once married. But her eyes. Those eyes were the same. Wide. Deep. Hurt. For a second, they stared at each other like strangers trapped in the same memory. The child tugged Keisha's hand. "Mommy," she whispered, "why did you stop breathing?" Keisha blinked fast, forcing air into her lungs. "I'm okay, baby," she said softly. "Just tired." Hyunjoo's gaze dropped to the child. Her nose. Her eyes. The way she frowned slightly, just like he did when thinking. The elevator jolted. Lights flickered. Then, everything stopped. Silence. The elevator shuddered and went still between floors. The child gasped. "Mommy, what happened?" Keisha pulled her close. "It's okay. It's just a small problem. They'll fix it." Hyunjoo pressed the emergency button. Once. Twice. Nothing. No signal on his phone. He laughed under his breath, bitter. Of course. The universe had a cruel sense of humor. "How old is she?" The words escaped before he could stop them. Keisha's head snapped up. "Don't." "How old?" His voice was low, controlled, but shaking underneath. "That's none of your business, Hyunjoo." Hearing his name from her lips after 4 years felt like a wound reopening. The child answered instead, cheerful and innocent. "I'm Rita. I'm 4.5. I like purple. And this is Mr. Bear. 4.5. Hyunjoo's mind did the math fast. Brutally. 4 years ago, Keisha was pregnant. His knees weakened. Keisha's grip on her daughter tightened. "She doesn't know who you are," she said firmly. "So please, stay on your side." Hyunjoo swallowed hard. "What's her name?" he asked quietly. Keisha hesitated. "Rita," she said. "Rita Sam." The elevator groaned softly, metal shifting like it was listening. Rita hugged her stuffed baby bear tighter and looked up at Hyunjoo. "Are you a bad man?" she asked. The question pierced him deeper than any bullet ever had. Hyunjoo crouched slowly, lowering himself to her level. "I made a bad mistake once," he said gently. "A very big one." Keisha's voice broke. "Don't do this here." But it was already happening. The truth had entered the elevator with them. And there was no escape. The elevator hummed softly, like it was breathing. Hyunjoo stayed crouched, his eyes locked on the little girl standing in front of him. Rita held her stuffed baby bear tightly, her small fingers pressing into its soft belly. She wasn't scared of him. That scared him. Children always knew the truth before adults did. Keisha pulled Rita gently back, placing herself between them like a shield. "Don't talk to her," she said, her voice low but firm. "You don't get to confuse her." Hyunjoo stood slowly, his movements careful, controlled. He leaned against the cold metal wall, trying to steady the storm raging inside him. 4.5 years. The number echoed in his head again and again. How old were you when we divorced? He asked quietly, not looking at Keisha. She didn't answer at first. Then, 8 months pregnant, she said flatly. The words hit him harder than he expected. His chest tightened. He remembered that day clearly now, Keisha standing in his office, her hands shaking, her eyes red from crying, begging him to listen. Begging him to believe her. And he hadn't. Rita looked up at her mother. "Mommy," she whispered, "why is he sad?" Keisha swallowed hard. Because some people don't understand things until it's too late. Hyunjoo closed his eyes. Too late. The elevator lights flickered again. Rita whimpered and hugged her bear tighter. Keisha bent down and kissed her forehead. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here." Hyunjoo pressed the emergency button again. This time, a crackling voice came through the speaker. "Hotel security here. We're aware of the issue. Please remain calm. Maintenance is on the way." "How long?" Hyunjoo asked sharply. "About 20 minutes, sir." 20 minutes. Trapped with the truth. Rita sat down on the floor, cross-legged, her bear resting in her lap. She hummed softly, a simple tune, out of place in the heavy silence. Hyunjoo's heart twisted. Keisha noticed his stare. "Stop looking at her like that." "Like what?" "Like she belongs to you." He exhaled slowly. "She does." Keisha laughed, but there was no humor in it. "No. She belongs to me. I raised her. I fed her. I stayed up at night when she cried. You don't get to claim her now." "I didn't know," Hyunjoo said. His voice cracked. "I swear, I didn't know." "You didn't want to know," Keisha snapped. "There's a difference." Rita looked between them, confused. "Are you fighting because of me?" "No, sweetheart," Keisha said quickly, kneeling beside her. "Never because of you." Hyunjoo crouched again, keeping his distance this time. "Rita," he said gently, "do you like school?" Her face lit up. "Yes. I like drawing. And my teacher says I'm very smart." He smiled despite himself. "She sounds like you," he said to Keisha. Keisha's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. "She sounds like herself." Silence stretched again. Finally, Hyunjoo spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Why didn't you tell me?" Keisha stood slowly, her body trembling, not from fear, but from old pain. "I tried," she said. "I called you more times than I can count. You blocked me. I went to your office. Your guards threw me out. I sent letters. They came back unopened." Hyunjoo felt sick. "I was pregnant, Hyunjoo. I was scared. And you shut the door in my face." Rita tugged Keisha's dress. "Mommy, are you crying?" Keisha wiped her face quickly. "No, baby. Mommy's just tired." But Hyunjoo saw the tears. He remembered the last time he saw her cry, standing in front of him, swearing she never cheated, swearing on their unborn child's life. And he had called her a liar. Rita looked at Hyunjoo again. "If you're not bad," she said slowly, "why weren't you with us?" The question sliced through him. "I made a wrong choice," he said honestly. "And it hurt people I loved." Rita thought about that, then nodded. "Wrong choices make people lonely." Hyunjoo swallowed hard. "Yes," he whispered. "They do." The elevator creaked softly as it shifted a few inches. Keisha grabbed Rita's hand instinctively. Hyunjoo stepped forward. "It's okay. I won't let anything happen to her." Keisha looked at him sharply. "You don't get to promise that." But deep down, something in her voice wavered. The truth was no longer just between adults. It was standing right there, holding a stuffed baby bear, watching everything. And once a child saw the truth, there was no turning back. The elevator felt smaller now. The air was heavy, thick with words that had waited 4 years to be spoken. Rita sat quietly on the floor, tracing slow circles on the metal with her finger while holding her stuffed baby bear close. She sensed the tension, even if she didn't understand it. Hyunjoo stood a few steps away from Keisha, his hands clenched at his sides. You said you tried, he said carefully. Tell me how. Keisha let out a short, broken laugh. You really want to hear it now? Trapped here with nowhere to run? Yes, he said. I need to. She looked at him for a long moment, like she was deciding whether opening that door would destroy her all over again. Then she spoke. I was 8 months pregnant when you threw me out, she said slowly. I still remember the weight of my stomach pulling me forward, the way my back hurt all the time. Hyunjoo's jaw tightened. You accused me in front of your family, she continued. You called me names I never thought you were capable of saying. You didn't even let me explain. Rita looked up. Mommy, what's pregnant? Keisha forced a small smile and knelt beside her. It means I was carrying you inside me. Rita's eyes widened. Like a house. Yes, Keisha whispered. Like a house. Hyunjoo felt his throat close. Keisha stood again. After that day, I went back to the apartment. Your security card didn't work anymore. My clothes were packed in bags and dumped outside. He flinched. I slept on a friend's couch for 2 weeks, she said. Then she asked me to leave. She had her own problems. So I moved into a tiny room near the river. No heater. No savings. No job. Just fear. Hyunjoo shook his head slowly. Why didn't you come again? Why didn't you force me to listen? I did, she snapped. I called you 53 times in 1 week. You blocked my number. I went to your office twice. Your guards dragged me out like I was nothing. Rita hugged her baby bear tighter. Keisha's voice cracked. I sent letters. I poured my heart into them. They all came back unopened. Hyunjoo felt like the ground beneath him was collapsing. I went into labor alone, she said. 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. His breath hitched. I took a bus to the hospital because I couldn't afford a taxi. I was in pain. I was scared. And the nurse looked at me like I didn't belong there. Rita's eyes filled with tears. Mommy, that's sad. Keisha knelt and kissed her forehead. It's okay, baby. Mommy is strong. Hyunjoo lowered himself onto the floor, his expensive suit forgotten. I wasn't there, he said quietly. No, Keisha replied. You weren't. Silence stretched between them. I named her Rita because it means hope, Keisha said. I needed something to hold on to. Rita smiled faintly. I like my name. Hyunjoo smiled back, tears burning his eyes. It's beautiful. Keisha's eyes hardened again. Don't confuse kindness with forgiveness. I know, he said. I'm not asking for that. Good, she replied. Because I don't have it to give. The elevator suddenly creaked, dropping slightly before stopping again. Rita gasped. Hyunjoo moved instantly, placing himself between her and the wall. It's okay. I've got you. Keisha noticed. You don't get to act like her protector. Maybe not, he said. But I won't let anything happen to her. Keisha hesitated. Just for a second. Then she whispered, You broke me, Hyunjoo. Do you understand that? I didn't just lose a marriage. I lost my faith in people. In love. He nodded. I know. And I deserve that. Rita looked at them both. Can you stop being sad now? Neither answered. Because sadness had only just begun. The truth was no longer hidden. And Hyunjoo was about to learn that the lie that destroyed his family came from the people he trusted most. The elevator doors finally slid open. Keisha stepped out first, holding Rita's hand tightly. Rita glanced back once, her stuffed baby bear tucked under her arm, her eyes lingering on Hyunjoo with quiet curiosity. Hyunjoo watched them walk away. And for the first time in years, power meant nothing to him. That night, Hyunjoo sat alone in his penthouse, the city lights of Seoul spread beneath him like a sea of fire. His phone lay on the table, untouched. His drink sat untouched too. Keisha's words replayed in his mind. Fake photos. Fake records. Your sister planned it. Your mother helped her. He had believed his blood over his wife. And that belief had cost him his family. Hyunjoo picked up his phone and made the call. Tell Seoar to come to the office. Now. Seoar arrived an hour later, calm and perfectly dressed, her heels clicking confidently against the marble floor. She smiled when she saw him. You sounded upset, she said lightly. What's wrong? Hyunjoo didn't return the smile. Sit, he said. Something in his tone made her pause. Still, she Saturday. I saw Keisha today, he said quietly. Seoar's smile froze. With a child, he continued. A little girl named Rita. Seoar's fingers tightened in her lap. She's mine. The color drained from her face. That's impossible, she said quickly. She lied to you before. Don't, Hyunjoo cut in sharply. Not again. Silence filled the room. He leaned forward, his voice low and dangerous. I know the photos were fake. I know the medical records were forged. I know you paid people to lie. Seoar stood abruptly. I did it for you. For me. Hyunjoo repeated, incredulous. You were changing, she shouted. You were soft. You were going to walk away from the family business because of her. And that gave you the right to destroy my life, he asked coldly. You were choosing her over us. Seoar cried. Over mother. Over everything father built. Hyunjoo stood. You don't get to decide who I love. She laughed bitterly. She was never good enough. A foreign woman. No status. No power. Hyunjoo's eyes darkened. You sound just like mother. Seoar stiffened. She agreed, Hyunjoo said. Didn't she? Seoar looked away. That was answer enough. My own mother watched you destroy my marriage, he said quietly. And said nothing. She said it was necessary, Seoar whispered. She said Keisha would weaken you. Hyunjoo felt something inside him break completely. My daughter grew up without a father, he said. My wife gave birth alone. And you call that necessary? Seoar stepped back, fear finally creeping into her eyes. I protected the family, she insisted weakly. You protected power, Hyunjoo replied. At the cost of my happiness. He walked to his desk and pressed a button. 2 security guards stepped inside. Seoar's eyes widened. What are you doing? You're done, Hyunjoo said calmly. All accounts frozen. All authority removed. You're out. You can't do this, she screamed. I'm your sister. You stopped being that the day you lied, he replied. As they escorted her out, she turned back, her voice sharp with venom. She'll never forgive you, Seoar spat. That child will never truly see you as her father. The doors closed behind her. Hyunjoo sank into his chair. Blood had betrayed him. But the worst betrayal wasn't theirs. It was his own, choosing lies over love. He picked up his phone again and stared at Keisha's number, his thumb hovering. He didn't call. Not yet. First, he needed to decide what kind of man he would be from this moment forward. The kind who ruled from fear. Or the kind who fought for his child. Hyunjoo stood across the street, staring at the apartment building. It wasn't tall. It wasn't fancy. No guards. No gates. Just a quiet residential block near the river, with laundry hanging from balconies and children's laughter drifting through open windows. This was where his daughter lived. Not in luxury. Not in power. But in peace. His chest tightened. He checked the address again. Building C, 3rd floor. Rita's home. Hyunjoo adjusted his coat and crossed the street. Every step felt heavier than the last. He had faced enemies with guns, rivals with blood on their hands, but knocking on this door scared him more than any of that. He raised his hand. Then hesitated. Finally, he knocked. Footsteps approached from inside. The door opened halfway, the chain still on. Keisha's eyes widened slightly when she saw him. You came, she said, more surprised than angry. You told me where you live, Hyunjoo replied softly. I took that seriously. She studied his face, searching for lies. Finding none, she removed the chain and stepped aside. 5 minutes, she said. That's all. The apartment was small but warm. Toys were scattered across the floor. A child's drawing was taped to the wall, 3 stick figures holding hands. Hyunjoo swallowed. Daddy. Rita ran out of the bedroom, her stuffed baby bear tucked under her arm. She slammed into his legs, hugging him tightly. Hyunjoo froze. Then slowly, carefully, he knelt and hugged her back. She smelled like soap and crayons and childhood. You came back, she said happily. I told you I would, he replied, his voice thick. Keisha watched from the doorway, arms crossed. Her face showed no softness, only caution. Rita, she said gently, go wash your hands. Dinner's almost ready. Rita nodded and ran off. The moment she disappeared, Keisha's tone changed. You don't get to confuse her, she said. Showing up once doesn't make you her father. I know, Hyunjoo replied. That's why I'm here. She scoffed. To throw money at us? To buy your way into her life? No, he said quickly. I didn't bring anything. That made her pause. I came to ask, he continued. Not to demand. Keisha raised an eyebrow. Ask what? To be allowed to try, he said. Slowly. On your terms. Silence filled the room. I won't move her, he added. I won't disrupt her life. I won't make promises I can't keep. Keisha's jaw tightened. You already did that once. He nodded. I know. Rita returned, climbing onto the couch with her bear. Daddy, she said brightly, can you stay for dinner? Hyunjoo looked at Keisha. She hesitated. Then sighed. One meal, she said. And then you leave. Dinner was simple. Rice. Stew. Nothing fancy. Rita talked the whole time, about school, her teacher, how Mr. Bear didn't like loud noises. Hyunjoo listened to every word like it mattered. Because it did. After dinner, Rita yawned. Story time, she announced. Hyunjoo glanced at Keisha again. She hesitated, then nodded once. They sat on the couch. Rita squeezed between them. Hyunjoo read slowly, stumbling over words. Rita corrected him, giggling. For a moment, it felt normal. Too normal. When the story ended, Keisha took Rita to bed. Hyunjoo stood awkwardly by the door. Keisha returned minutes later. You can come again, she said quietly. But understand this, Rita doesn't need your power. She needs consistency. I can do that, he said firmly. She looked him in the eyes. If you disappear again, I won't forgive you. I won't, he said. I swear. She shook her head. Swear with actions, not words. Hyunjoo nodded. As he stepped outside, the door closed softly behind him. He didn't feel rejected. He felt tested. And for the first time in his life, he was ready to prove himself. Hyunjoo's life began to split in two. By day, he sat in glass-walled offices, surrounded by men who feared him, signing documents that controlled money, territory, and silence. By night, he stood outside a small apartment near the river, waiting for a little girl to open the door and smile like he was the safest thing in the world. And that terrified him. Because enemies did not scare him. But losing Rita did. The more Hyunjoo showed up, the more dangerous his world became for her. He saw it one evening when he picked Rita up from school. She ran toward him, her stuffed baby bear bouncing under her arm. Daddy, she shouted. Parents turned. Some stared. Some whispered. Hyunjoo felt it instantly, the attention. That night, one of his men pulled him aside. Boss, the man said quietly, people are asking questions. Rivals noticed you've changed routes. Changed priorities. Hyunjoo didn't answer. Later that night, he stood on Keisha's balcony, watching Rita sleep through the open bedroom door. Her chest rose and fell softly. The baby bear rested under her arm. Keisha crossed her arms behind him. She's not used to danger, she said quietly. Don't bring it to her. I won't, Hyunjoo replied. You say that, she said, but your life follows you everywhere. Her words stayed with him. The next morning, Hyunjoo called a meeting. The room was filled with men who had bled for him, lied for him, killed for him. I'm stepping back, he said calmly. The room went silent. One man laughed nervously. Boss, from what? From everything that puts my family at risk, Hyunjoo said. We transition. Legal fronts only. No more street work. Murmurs spread. That will cost us power, another man said. Hyunjoo leaned forward. I'm done choosing power over blood. That night, his mother called. Her voice was sharp. You're making a mistake. No, Hyunjoo replied. I already made it 4 years ago. You're weakening yourself, she snapped. For that woman and her child. For my wife, he corrected. And my daughter. Silence. You've chosen them over your family, she said coldly. I've chosen the right family, he answered, then ended the call. The retaliation came quickly. A car followed him one night. Another time, a warning message appeared on his phone. You can't walk away. Hyunjoo didn't respond. But Keisha noticed. You're not sleeping, she said one evening as they washed dishes together. I'm fine, he lied. She turned to him sharply. Don't lie to me. Not again. He sighed. There are consequences. For us, she asked quietly. For me, he replied. I won't let it touch you or Rita. Keisha's eyes softened, but fear lingered. Rita ran in, holding her bear. Mommy, Daddy promised to take me to the park. Hyunjoo smiled. I did. At the park, Hyunjoo watched Rita laugh, climb, fall, get back up. Normal. Safe. And he made a decision. He would burn his empire to protect this. That night, he cut off the last illegal operation. He sold assets. Shut down routes. Let enemies think he was weak. Weak men didn't scare him. Losing his daughter did. When he told Keisha, she stared at him in disbelief. You did all that, for us. For her, he said. And for you, if you'll let me. Keisha swallowed hard. You're changing. I have to, he said. The man I was almost destroyed everything good in my life. She studied him, searching for cracks. Change doesn't erase the past, she said. I know, he replied. But it can protect the future. Keisha nodded slowly. That night, Rita hugged him tightly. You're my hero, she whispered. Hyunjoo closed his eyes. For the first time, the title mattered more than power ever had. Life did not suddenly become perfect. That was the first truth Keisha learned. Even after Hyunjoo stepped back from the dangerous parts of his world, even after he showed up every single day, the pain did not disappear. It softened, yes, but it still lived in the quiet moments. Like now. Keisha stood at the kitchen sink, staring at nothing, while Hyunjoo helped Rita with her homework at the table. No, Daddy, Rita said seriously, tapping the paper with her pencil. That answer is wrong. Hyunjoo smiled. Are you sure? Yes, she said confidently. Teacher said so. He laughed softly. Then teacher wins. Keisha watched them from across the room. 4 years ago, she had dreamed of moments like this. Simple. Normal. Safe. And now that she had it, fear wrapped around her heart. Because what if it disappeared again? Later that night, Rita fell asleep clutching her stuffed baby bear, her small face calm and peaceful. Hyunjoo tucked the blanket around her carefully, like she might break if he breathed too hard. When he stepped into the living room, Keisha was waiting. You didn't have to stay tonight, she said. I wanted to, he replied. She nodded but didn't sit. Hyunjoo, she said quietly, I need to ask you something. He stiffened. Okay. What happens when things get hard again? She asked. When someone lies to you again. When your family pressures you again. He didn't answer immediately. I'm scared, she continued. Not of you now, but of the past repeating itself. Hyunjoo stepped closer, stopping a few feet away. That fear is fair, he said. I earned it. She crossed her arms tightly. I don't know how to trust you yet. I know, he said gently. And I won't rush you. Her eyes filled with tears she tried to hide. I was strong for so long, she whispered. I had to be. I didn't have a choice. But I'm tired, Hyunjoo. I'm tired of guarding my heart like it's under attack. He nodded slowly. Then don't, he said. Not all at once. Just, little by little. Keisha looked away. Love wasn't enough before, she said. You loved me and still believed lies. That won't happen again, he said firmly. You don't know that, she replied. You can't promise perfection. I'm not promising perfection, he said. I'm promising effort, truth, and listening, even when it's uncomfortable. Silence settled between them. Then Keisha asked the question she had been avoiding. Why didn't you fight harder for me back then? Hyunjoo's jaw tightened. Because I was proud, he said. Because I was angry. And because part of me was afraid that believing you meant facing how wrong I could be. She nodded slowly. That hurt more than the lie, she said. Knowing you didn't even try. I know, he whispered. And I hate myself for it. The honesty in his voice cracked something inside her. Over the next weeks, things changed, but slowly. Hyunjoo showed up every morning. He packed Rita's lunch. He attended school meetings. He stayed when Keisha asked and left when she needed space. No pressure. No demands. One evening, while folding laundry together, their hands brushed. Keisha flinched, then stopped herself. Hyunjoo noticed. I'm not going anywhere, he said softly. She looked at him, searching his face. Say that again, she said. I'm not going anywhere. Her shoulders relaxed just a little. That night, as Hyunjoo prepared to leave, Keisha spoke before he reached the door. You can stay, she said quietly. If you want. He turned, surprised. Are you sure? No, she admitted. But I want to try. They sat on the couch, not touching, just sharing the same space. It felt fragile. But real. Keisha rested her head back and closed her eyes. I'm not healed, she said softly. I know, Hyunjoo replied. But for the first time, she continued, I don't feel alone. Hyunjoo smiled faintly. Healing wasn't instant. But it had begun. 1 year later. The elevator doors slid open on the 42nd floor of the same luxury hotel in Seoul. Hyunjoo stepped inside first, holding Rita's hand. She wore a purple dress and hugged her stuffed baby bear tightly against her chest. Keisha followed, her expression curious but calm. Daddy, Rita asked, tilting her head, why are we here again? Hyunjoo smiled down at her. Because this is where my life changed, he said. And where I want to do something right. Keisha raised an eyebrow. You're being mysterious. I learned from the best, he replied softly. The elevator doors closed. As they began to rise, Hyunjoo felt the memory rush back. The fear, the shock, the pain. This was the same elevator where he had lost control of everything he thought he understood. But this time, he wasn't afraid. Rita pressed the button happily. I like elevators now, she said. They're not scary anymore. Keisha smiled faintly. They used to be. The elevator slowed between floors. Then stopped. Keisha stiffened slightly. Hyunjoo. He lifted a hand gently. It's okay, he said. This time, it's supposed to stop. Her heart skipped. Hyunjoo turned toward her, his face serious, his eyes clear. Keisha Sam, he said quietly, 1 year ago, I stood in this elevator and realized I had destroyed the most important thing in my life. Rita looked between them. Daddy, are you making a speech? Hyunjoo chuckled. Yes, sweetheart. He looked back at Keisha. I believed lies. I chose power over love. I walked away when I should have fought. And because of that, you suffered. Our daughter suffered. Keisha's eyes filled with tears. I can't erase that, he continued. And I won't pretend I deserve forgiveness just because time passed. He reached into his pocket. Rita gasped. Mommy. Hyunjoo slowly knelt. Keisha's breath caught. I spent this year proving, not with words, but with actions, that I can be trusted, he said. That I can listen. That I can choose you, every single day. He opened the small box. Inside was a simple ring. Nothing flashy. Just honest. Keisha Sam, he said, his voice steady. Will you marry me again, not as the man I was, but as the man I am trying every day to be? Rita bounced excitedly. Say yes, Mommy. Please say yes. Keisha laughed through tears, covering her mouth. You're really proposing to me, she said shakily, in the same elevator where you broke my heart. It felt right, he replied. Because this is where I lost you, and where I found my way back. She looked at Rita, then back at Hyunjoo. This time, she said softly, there will be no lies. Never again, he promised. She took a deep breath. Yes, she said. Yes, Hyunjoo. Rita screamed with joy. They're getting married. My parents are getting married. Hyunjoo slid the ring onto Keisha's finger and stood, pulling her into a careful, emotional hug. For a moment, they just held each other. Not perfect, but real. The elevator hummed and began moving again. When the doors opened, an elderly couple stood waiting. They saw the tears, the smiles, the ring. Oh, the woman said warmly. Congratulations. Thank you, Hyunjoo replied, his voice full. They stepped out together. Later that evening, Rita fell asleep on the couch, her baby bear tucked under her chin. Hyunjoo covered her with a blanket. She forgave you so easily, Keisha whispered. She taught me how, he replied. Keisha leaned into him. Are you happy? He looked at his daughter. Then at the woman he loved. Happier than I ever thought I deserved, he said. She smiled. Good. Because we're not going anywhere. Hyunjoo held them both close. The lie had destroyed his family. But truth. Truth brought them home.